Love the life you live. Live the life you love. Bob Marley. Good afternoon, everybody. Hi, Plain Truth. This should be pretty short, I'm hoping. Depends on how long my son is taking a nap. Okay, so let us start. And I haven't done this in a while, so you're gonna have to forgive me, I hope. It's the first video of the month, so let me do my usual thing. And so I basically just show you guys any donations that I received over the last month and all the previous months. I received a copyright claim from the On Topic Paul Logan's Flat Earth to the Edge and Back. It's commentary, and so I don't know if it's still there or not, but you know, videos are removed, copyrighted all the time on my YouTube. So if you can't find any of that, just go to LBRY, LBRY, and you'll find most of my uploads there. Okay, so first off the bat, where can I see? Oh, here we go. For the month of April, one donation that's in super chat by Zev17 $4.99. How you doing? I'm Mohammed. Oh, the Jeet Kune Do one. I think it's the guy that came in and was the the troll. Trolls love my channel. Okay. And of course, thank you to that person and everyone else who's donated in the past. And let's see. I think I need to do the background. Let me just make sure I do this right so I don't show someone's names that maybe I'll switch it back. Hold on. I should really test this stuff before I go online, but just trying to get this up and going really fast. And let's see. I know I messed up once before, so I don't want to do that again. All right, good. Let's transition there, just so you know. Nothing since February 3rd, but those are all the donations I received via PayPal. And of course, nothing as far as cryptocurrency. Let's get out of this mode and that background out of the way. And there you have it. Okay, so now I could go on to what I want to talk about, which is Bob Marley. I don't know how I got to Bob Marley, but I was just listening and a couple quotes that he was saying on some interviews and stuff. It's like, it grabbed my attention. And it's a lot of the stuff that I just kind of realized now, after so much, I guess, work or whatever you want to call it, soul searching, whatever they say. Every time I always think of this of an old friend of mine named Roger Kim. Whenever one of our old friends, like we were all childhood friends growing up, and like we would just stop hearing from one of our friends. They just stop. It's like we'd email, we'd text, we'd call, you know, they wouldn't reply back. We'd even do like Facebook posts and stuff like that. And it's like, why aren't they responding? And he would say, oh, he got religious on us or something. He got religious. Maybe that's true. I wonder if he says the same thing about me, although I've contacted him a couple of times. He never responded. So maybe he got religious. I just always think it's funny. But I'm thinking, you know, people might say, oh, Ipon got religious. Not really. Religion is something that I really advocate against. And what's great about Bob Marley, even though he's Rastafarian and you could consider that as a religion, it's kind of not in a way. It's kind of like you don't rely on anyone but yourself into interpreting whatever it is, to the truth that you want to find. If you want to find in the Bible, it's there. But I think of religion as man-made, edited, and controlled, right? Just think of it as, hey, Eric, how's it going? Yeah, that's weird things on YouTube. But I think of it as like, who decides what's canon, right? I mean, the establishment, government, whatever, they'll decide for themselves. You'll have no say in it. Just think of Star Wars. Star Wars, created by George Lucas, and there's a whole bunch of writings that probably George Lucas supported in the past that wasn't necessarily canon, but it was fiction. It was good. But then he sells it to Disney, and Disney now gets to decide what's canon or not. He wasn't the creator. Disney wasn't the creator. They didn't have anything to do with the creation of Star Wars. But now they do, because they can make any additional stuff. So whether you like Disney or not, the idea of what is canon as far as Star Wars is concerned is going to be up to Disney. It's not up to the creator of it, which is George Lucas, or any fan out there. You know, they don't get the choice. I mean, so think of that as religion, and think of it as just as there may be truth to whatever book that you want to read up on, whether it's the Bible or Quran or some Buddhist scriptures and whatnot. But if you think about how it gets handed down, I mean, do you trust the editors? Just think of it as a news organization. And I know most people don't trust news organizations these days. I mean, why do you need a journalist or a publisher to publish something where someone, especially today, right now, could just put something up online for people to see and try to get the word out and get interviewed by other people? You know, they don't need to have someone come over to write up, pick out a few of the sentences that you say of your statement, polish it up, you know, have all these other glittering stuff onto it, you know, and you could just do it yourself. So it's kind of like, do you really trust, if the New York Times, right, they got say they interviewed Jesus or something, right? Do you really trust them to tell exactly what Jesus said in that interview? I don't think you would. So it's kind of like that, right? How much do you trust the editors and the publishers of whatever religion, I guess, that you're looking into? Probably don't. You're at this point where it's like, you know what? I'm going to find what's useful for me, and how I can experience that, and just use that. And then anything else, no, it's just a whole bunch of fluff, whole bunch of nonsense, you know, just kind of like the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. Basically, it's all about finding your own way. What's useful, use it, and what's not, discard it. It's not necessary. You don't need to worry about it. Anyways, all I want to do was play back a little bit of Bob Marley's interviews and go over some of his quotes and just kind of talk about it. And if you want to say anything or come on in, you can do so. In the YouTube description box, there's going to be a link to Zoom. So if you want to come in, just say hi. You can do that too. All right, so here's this one. I'm going to play it back.
Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Why these people who want to do so much good for everyone, who call themselves governments and this and that, why them say you must not use the herb? You see? And we check that and we can't find We just see them just say, no, you mustn't use it because it make you rebel. Against what? Against men who won't crave, because them crave for the things like say, well then, them have some material things and them want to captivate your mind and tell you, say, well, you have to work and put you on pension and him keep it all. So Herb make you look for yourself, and instead of you want to work for the man, you want to be one of the man too. Not in the sense of how him is, but in the sense of why should you have to bow to these things.
Do you have to smoke to be a Rasta?
So he's talking about marijuana. Marijuana is legal back in Jamaica, and it's illegal here in the U.S., at least federally and all that other jazz. But, you know, it's just an herb that grows naturally. You can plant it and you can whatever, harvest it. And there's different things you can do with it. But it's funny. It's like, so why is it illegal, right? You know, they don't really have an explanation for it. It's like, well, if you have an argument against the use of marijuana whenever you want to use it, you know, there's also the case of, well, it can, if people use marijuana and they drive, you know, they could cause accidents. Well, that's probably true, but most people who take marijuana wouldn't want to drive, unlike if they were getting drunk on alcohol. And you can make the case a lot of people are dying from driving and drinking. You don't have alcohol illegal. So, you know, you've got that argument going. So I think one other thing that I like is he talks about in this interview here. I'll play it back.
Plus the fact that you advocate smoking
Yeah,
marijuana.
you think this, I'll show you this now. Could they tell God that it's not legal?
No, but
They couldn't tell God that it's
you
not
have a
legal.
very strong.
So I like that idea of if you're religious or spiritual, whatever, you think that you're not, basically you're not an atheist, whatever. If you just think that there's something that's a source of everything, or maybe it's, hey, the Big Bang, whatever. It's like, hey, if some form, higher entity comes and goes, and someone offers that higher entity, whatever you want to call it, hey, you should try this. It's cool. What do you think of it? You know, how does it affect you? And then someone else goes, no, you can't smoke that. It's illegal. It's like, so they're telling basically God that you can't smoke marijuana, God, because it's illegal. It's like, what? When did this happen? You think God's gonna go, oh, really? Yeah, then I guess I won't smoke it. It's like, who decided? It just grows. If I didn't want it to be made, I wouldn't have created it. You could probably say the same thing. Hey, if it wasn't, you know, there's a purpose for marijuana in its cultivation, and you could call it evolution, whatever you know. It's like, hey, if it didn't need to be, if it didn't need to exist, it shouldn't have existed through evolutionary processes. It did, and there's a reason for why it's still around and in use. So no matter which angle you want to take a side on, you'll just find that there's good and bad to everything. And I think Bob Marley even goes to say the same thing in many contexts. You know, too much of anything isn't a good thing. Anyways, there's a lot that I want to share that's like great, and there's like even quotes that aren't in here, which I kind of showed, but you know, the ones that kind of stuck out to me, I'll probably go over again. And you could probably watch a lot of interviews. You can find them. They're still around. I doubt they're going to be around for long, but he goes, I don't believe in death, neither in flesh nor in spirit. So we've kind of had the last couple of days, weeks, whatever. It's been a while. Thinking of more about Gnosticism and Taoism and just the concept of, you know, even like True Detective season 1, you know, just this more other consciousness, the idea of what this is, what here is, and that I don't know if we really die. You know, I've not witnessed death. I know some people may have, but still, it's not me. But you know, I don't have that experience, and so the experience that here is, for others that may not have experienced death. I mean, I've experienced death in animals and stuff like that. Never had a relative die or a friend or witness any of that stuff firsthand. But I just find it weird that maybe, like, there could be, most likely, a high chance that there's like physical death, right? But then just the conscious death, what is that? And maybe that's the whole ayahuasca thing, my third experience, my third and final one. I wanted to try it again, but I don't know if I should. Sometimes you gotta heed some warnings, I guess, right? And so anyways, a lot of good stuff here. Some I may just kind of pass by and not mention anything on it. When one door is closed, don't you know another is open, and a lot of these are based off of his lyrics as well. Here's one. Don't gain the world and lose your soul. Wisdom is better than silver and gold. And I'm kind of finding it odd that, like, I haven't been getting, I have not had made money. I mean, I'm relying heavily, I guess, on my wife. But again, she's also heavily relying on me taking care of the kids, and the house and dog and all this other stuff while she's at work. And doing some of the labor. Our gardens expanded, and trying to get to the point where I'm just kind of self-sustainable, not really worrying about money. If there is money, I just spend it so the kids can enjoy what there is. You know, if they enjoy ice cream, popsicles, we got those inflatable pools in the backyard. Got them blow up chairs so they can sit. Set up speakers for them in the garage that I hook up to my one of my old pads and just have them listen to music, or listen to circle around just stories that people tell. So all of that stuff, you know, it's just or buy materials to grow things. And I'm growing potatoes. I bought a whole bunch of seed potatoes, and I'm going to try growing them in 5 large bins. One thing that I know I segue a lot, but this is what I'm talking about. So when you go to the garden supply center, you're going to find these big containers, right? They're going to be like $35 up to $100 per container. I'm like, holy crap, that's expensive. But if you go inside and have like storage containers, bigger containers for like $6 each, and all you have to do is drill holes in the bottom. That's it. And that's what I did. I got 5 of those for like $30. Otherwise, they would have been like anywhere from $135 to $500, which is crazy. Anyways, some blueberry plants. We got some herbs. Strawberries are coming up strong. Still got the service berry, Juneberry, you might want to call it. Got 2 apple trees, peach tree, tomatoes, chilies. Got a lot of chilies going, peppers, garlic. So a lot of stuff. I want to add in wheat, so I can just go ahead and store them and process them for flour in the future. There's ways to get salt out here in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. There's no salt water, seawater, but there's other ways you can probably get salt. That's important. Iodine is important to go along with salt. Eventually would like to get chickens and any goat or a cow, but living here it's still in town and not really in the middle of nowhere, but still. Eric says, one time I grew radishes. I'm still growing chamomile flowers. Oh, chamomile flowers would be kind of cool. I like that. Anyways, that's just my segue for that part. I don't know how I even got there. Judge not before you judge yourself. Judge not if you're not ready for judgment. A lot of it also reflective in the Bible, which I think parts of it he liked. In this great feature, you can't forget your past. A hungry mob is an angry mob. Here's one where we just kind of saw in this interview. As a man sow shall he reap, and I know that talk is cheap, but the heat of the battle is as sweet as the victory. Here's a good one. Babylon is everywhere. I think some interviewer asked him about Babylon, and he goes, "You have right and you have right. You have wrong and you have right. Wrong is what we call Babylon. Wrong things. That is what Babylon is to me. I could have been born in England. I could have been born in America. It make no difference where me born because there's Babylon everywhere." So there's wrong everywhere. He has this very Gnostic view in some senses, right? It's kind of, we've got this whole, there's this marriage between Gnosticism and Christianity, where Christianity, I guess, that this world is good, but somehow evil came to be, and it's kind of all a test in order to go to heaven, be with God type of thing. Gnosticism is kind of the idea of very similar to Taoism in some senses. Gnosticism is very spread out. It's kind of decentralized, but the idea is that this world has some bad things, but it also has good things because part of the creation here is good, and part of the creation here is not what was intended. That could be called the false reality or illusion. And well, the illusion that you see is that material form which we see, which we find in our senses. Once we can figure out what's past that, what's truly going on, what truly matters, then we focus on that. And when we focus on that, eventually we'll get to the point where, hey, all of this stuff was just a big, you could call it a game or simulation, whatever you want to call it. But, we don't have to die. It's like we can't really die. That's the whole idea of living forever is, maybe you die when you believe that there is death type of thing. So they try to instill into you whatever the powers it is, this illusion. It's propagated all the time everywhere. In any establishment, whether it's religion, money, government, all that jazz, stories, information. But, if you don't experience it and it's all made up in a big play, is it true, or do you kind of make your own reality, kind of like an egregore with others and things like that? And I don't know, but the easiest thing I would say is don't let that fear and all that stuff overtake you. If death comes to those you love or to even yourself, well, it comes. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But just because someone said there is death doesn't mean there is death. As far as whoever you are. Plain truth, cayenne peppers. Yep. Chamomile tea. I used to like that stuff. I haven't had chamomile tea in a long time. Carrying on, one good thing about music, when it hits you, you feel no pain. I mean, that guy had a way with words. And here's when he kind of gets towards the whole idea of freedom. I mean, he'll get to the idea of consciousness. There's a lot of good stuff about that. And love, of course. Better to die fighting for freedom than be a prisoner all the days of your life. So all this Babylon stuff, all the stuff that's wrong. We really can't change it. You know, it's kind of the whole Stoic ideal is, well, what do we really want to fight the system with? Are we going to fight it with hate, anger, confusion, whatever? You know, we really have to fight for a better sense of it, and how we're going to get to the point. Like, if we're going to attack it, let's attack it with something where that's what grows after, right? If we attack it with hate and anger and fear and, you know, weapons, well, what are we growing then? We're growing more hate, you know, more weapons, more fear, all that stuff. But if we can, I think that's where a lot of these leaders back in the 60s, 70s and stuff like that were great, because they realized, hey, let's attack it with love. Let's attack it with freedom. You know, let's just fight against it with what we want to grow in its wake, you know. And yeah, I guess if you know, if that reality of if such a thing as death occurs, then you may be fighting it with weapons. But, you know, if you see it as, hey, no, you know what? I don't think that's really true. So, you know, let's just do it this way. Who knows? This whole experience is so weird, right? I can't make sense of it. You all have to make sense of it yourself. And then I think most people that are around me kind of will go through that, because you're trying to find the truth. You're trying to figure it out yourself, and I think there's a great quote here. And we'll get to it, but he basically says, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free your mind. I can't free your mind. No one else can free mine. All this other stuff, right? But we can help each other. And kind of, it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's so many analogies one can make, but let's keep going. Don't trust people whose feelings change with time. Trust the people whose feelings remain the same, even when the time changes. You know, I guess you can kind of, you know, whether it's sellouts, whether it's people who sold their soul to the devil or whatever, you know, it's, you know, people all of a sudden go with the grain, you know, people go with what's popular, you know. For me, it's always going to stay the same, you know, ever since I was a kid. And, you know, my friends know it. My family knows it. Even my in-laws know it. It's like, that's just Ebon being Ebon type of thing, right? It's like, my feelings don't change. Whether it's this COVID-19, I'm not going to wear a mask. I think it's all bullshit. It's a lie. It's a hoax, whatever it is. It doesn't affect me. I don't have it. My wife doesn't have it. My kids don't have it. None of my relatives have it. None of them died from it. I got nothing to fear from it. And if you got something to fear from it, well, don't hang around me and complaining. Go home. Self-isolate. You know, live in your own fear. I'd say don't. But, you know, if you really have that much feelings about it, well, don't be arguing about it to some guy you're probably standing 6 feet from. All right, and hey, if it's that important, or you think I'm liable to get people killed, well then kill me. Come and kill me if you feel that strongly about it. Let's see. Every day the bucket a go a well, one day the bottom a go drop out. Not a song stuff. I might skip some of the things, but let's see. Every time it plants a seed, he say kill it before it grow. He say kill it before they grow. Everything is political. I will never be a politician or even think political. It means just deal with life and nature. That is the greatest thing to me. And I think it's gotten to that point with me even. I mean, everything kind of was political, but I kind of see it same as Bob Marley has seen it, and a couple of others, is plain truth, but you could. Is that it is very divisive, I guess, whatever political situation. Being apolitical is you're not really picking a side in which to tell others what they need to do, right? You pick no side and you suggest to people what they can do and what they should do, but you don't force it on them. I've been watching all the cutscenes from Injustice 2. If you don't know what that is, it's a fighting game, action fighting game, kind of like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all that stuff. And but just cutscenes, and it's great because it's like this alternate universe where like Superman basically was tricked by Joker into killing his wife and his kid, and he finally killed Joker for it, and his new stance is prevent all that stuff and having millions killed. We'll just kill all the people who don't deserve it, all the criminals and all that stuff. And Batman, remains stoic. Is like, no, that's not that's not the world we want to live in, type of thing. Very, very, very good storyline, I would say. Makes you think, but yeah, the idea still is just you really don't want to force things or upon others, and those who sided with Batman, which is Firestorm and Blue Beetle, when they have a conversation about why they chose to help Batman, is Batman didn't order them, didn't create any contracts or anything like that. He just simply asked them if they could help, and they decided to help. And what happened with Superman, he's created a regime where you're either, if you're not forced to, you're obligated to in some contractual form or whatever. So that's I thought that was a great piece in that Injustice 2, where they had the freedom to do whatever they wanted, and the only reason that they decided to help was because they were asked to. They weren't told to, they weren't ordered to, they weren't forced to. And I think that's where we want to be. I love Superman, not when Superman's fallen. Same thing with Batman, the whole idea of the justice and freedom and stuff like that. Anyways, let's keep going. Free speech carries with it some freedom to listen. There's a couple, again, I think I'm just going to kind of skip through some of these. Here's one good on race. If you're white and you're wrong, then you're wrong. If you're black and you're wrong, you're wrong. People are people. Black, blue, pink, green. God make no rules about color. Only society make rules where my people suffer. And that's why we must have redemption and redemption now. And I think he refers to my people as not a race, but my people of just the human race, really. Okay. Eric now sees my subscription, my live stream on his subscription feed. Overcome the devils with the thing called love. And live for yourself, and you will live in vain. Live for others, and you will live again. And kind of reflects that of my ayahuasca experiences. And it has a ring of truth to it, even if I didn't have that ayahuasca experience. But the if you really think about it, right, you could just live your own life, do your own thing, not have a care for anyone, not even, like, if basically all you love is yourself and nothing else. At the end is like, I think in itself, you'll get bored, you'll get tired, you go, this is nothing. You'll find a little bit of comfort, I guess, a little bit of joy, not real happiness, but you've got that materialistic quality of satisfying the immediate need for something. I want this now. I got what I need. I'll just go and get that. And you have it, you use it, and you're just like, oh, okay, what's next? But you don't take really care of anything, right? You have money, you get this thing called money. You need something to get taken care of. You spend that money, someone else takes care of it for you. You don't have a care in the world, pretty much. So you kind of live in vain. You really don't. Your experience in life is something that you probably don't love, right? And I think that's reflected in the quote of the day that I used, and this next one: love the life you live, and live the life you love. If you just kind of reflect on your life, do you love life or do you not? And it kind of has this whole dualistic nature, agnostic nature to it, dualistic. And I was kind of revisiting True Detective season 1. And if you think about it, well, it has very esoteric and occult stuff with it, and you could probably, I'd say, look into it, and you'll like that. All the hidden gems, you could say. But if you think about the protagonist, what the protagonist doing is the idea that life is cyclical, and you just have to replay your life over and over again until you get things right, and kind of understand what you need to do. And of course, for many, that's just a hell. And to get out of the hell, the antagonist, the bad guy, wants to do the most atrocious things so that he can, I guess, vibrate away into nothingness, get taken out of the system, so he's no longer suffering this whole thing. So that's kind of the whole reason. Cole and Rust are doing their detective work to stop him. So the protagonist Rust, he's the opposite. He finally does what he needs to do regardless, and they're kind of taken out of the cycle in a way, but not quite the way each intended to, right? So it has that very weird duality context to it, and it's just one story among many. And I just think that's kind of the beauty of it, is you've got kind of, and this reflects a lot of religions and mystery schools where they don't want to be here. They're some religions, and I forgot their names, but like their idea is to get God or another son of God or whatever to come back and take us or them away to heaven or whatever, the end of this existence, miserable existence that they find here. They do the most horrible things in order for God to come back and say, you know what, you guys, this life thing isn't for anyone, especially if you guys are doing this stuff. So I'm just gonna end it. But it's funny, if you think about this, there's this source, or whatever you want to call it, God or creator, or God above God, whatever your thought is, to just whatever the original source is that helped or just kind of created this, whether it's good or bad or evil. If you're picking a side, it's like, well, this thing that we have here seems kind of broken. Why don't I just end it? Nobody seems to enjoy it. Maybe some people do, but why don't I just take everybody out that doesn't enjoy it and creating trouble? And that doesn't happen. Not from the with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey playing Shrift. You should watch it if you haven't. It's good. Probably the best TV series One of the best TV series. I love a lot of TV series, but one of the better ones out there. Anyways, I may do a video on it sometime. We'll see. May have only one ambition, I have one thing that I really like to see happen. I'd like to see mankind live together, black, white, Chinese, everyone. That's all. Some people feel the rain, others just get wet. I know a lot of people, they don't like the rain, but depends on the rain. Sometimes it's just getting rain, being out there in the rain when it's not too cold, it just feels really good. It's fun. Yeah. Rastafari not a culture, it's a reality, and it's basically finding just a process. I know it's more organized now, but I kind of like the idea that it was meant to be a disorganized religion, right? No dogma. Basically, no one can tell you this is what Rastafari is. Rastafari is the reality of how you experience it, type of way. I think that's pretty cool. It follows a lot of stuff, I guess. It's funny. Someone creates something that's decentralized and everyone looks into it themselves, and it's not ruled by any one person or in any organized way. It gets to the point where somehow it becomes organized, and it stems from one person or an organization that's dictating what that does. It seems to happen all the time. Probably it even happened with cryptocurrency, right? The idea is to try, now that you kind of know how the system works and how it always picks up and uses that tool or whatever in the wrong ways, to kind of stay away from it and not get too involved or enticed with the whole idea. Certain things are going to change. I still like the concept of certain tools. I just don't like how it's being used, right? Just like if, I like swords, I like axes, I like knives, all that stuff. They're just tools. I just don't like the way it's being used sometimes by people. I don't use it the way they use it. I use it the way I think creates less harm, has its own efficiency, all that stuff. But you're not forcing others to use it your way. You're not forcing others with how you use it, type of thing. But somehow the system always seems to find ways to enforce. Road of life is rocky and you may stumble too, so while you talk about me, someone else is judging you. People who were trying to make this world worse are not taking a day off. Why should I? I love that one. To say only the fittest of the fittest shall survive, stay alive. Let's see. Here's a good one. The biggest coward of a man is to awaken the love of a woman without the intention of loving her. And we saw that a lot. We saw that a lot in the, I guess, 70s, 80s, 90s, even now, 2000s to 2010s, and man, it's 2020 already. But yeah, if you look at all the movies and culture, it's always been towards, that whole free sex type of thing, without the love involved. It's basically everything that's been cultivated culture has involved doing things without love, except for the material. Love of money, love of religion, love of government, love of whatever. It's always been, but nothing with like the love of the non-materiality, with nothing that's like a return. Just love, without any without the idea of being loved back. Give out your love. You want to do something to help someone else. You want to do something where you're giving and you're not expecting a return. What was it? I think a couple of days ago, the whole pay it forward concept. You do things not because you want some return on investment or something like that. Just do it because you think someone else could find use for it, or it's helpful for someone else. And spend a little bit of time with that person. It's like, here, explain things to them, giving them your attention, not just kind of go do this, do that, whatever. Have them look into it. Sometimes it's hard for them. It's like, spend some time saying, look, this is what I use, this is how I do it. It works for me. If you want to try it, here's some. You could try it out for yourself, and then maybe they'll do the same thing to someone else. And maybe that, feedback loops around, the whole idea of karma. Excuse me. When I start talking a lot, man, I start burping and get thirsty. And at least I'm not coughing. Truth is light, so you never give up the fight. I like that. Though the road's been rocky, it sure feels good to me. Yeah, all these smooth roads, sometimes it feels good, but like sometimes I like the rockiness. Helps me sleep. If I'm in a car, it helps my kids sleep in the car, which is what I want sometimes. They get antsy traveling in the car too long. When one door is closed, many more is open. When the race gets hard to run, it means you just can't take the peace. When the root is strong, the fruit is sweet. Anyways. You can't find the right roads when the streets are paved. Look at that. Have you noticed that they've paved a lot of things over with concrete? It makes things hard to grow, but one good thing about roads is they break down and plants find a way to grow. Weeds, even though you could spray pesticides on them, they'll find a way to grow. It's like we even pave things with grass. We don't even pave things with just concrete anymore, but we pave things over with something that's just not useful. Like grass, the way, nice green grass. I don't even know if rabbits or goats or cows or whatever would eat those grass. Like, I see rabbits eating the grass on our lawn a lot, and it's that really, thick grass, not that soft, small, thin ones. But anyways, I just noticed a lot of worms too. I think a lot of the birds like to get the worms from our lawn. All that pesticide stuff, Anyways, it's getting close to time. I might be ending it soon. Let me see. There's a few more that I wrote down from what I kind of saw, and I want to see if I could find it. I think that's it. Let me look at the consciousness. I think that's it. There's a quote that I had before, but basically, maybe it is at the beginning. Yeah, I think it's at the beginning of this one.
Like many Rastas, Bob Marley talks in a thick Jamaican patois, which at times is difficult.
Not that one. Is it this one? Nah. Crud, I can't find it. But basically, he says just music. His music. He says it's kind of a path of consciousness type of thing, And basically, he's trying to find, trying to reveal the hidden reality of what's been hidden from us, from the wise and the prudent, to the children and the suckers. Let me see if I could find it. Prudent. Similar. It's not quite exactly from what I heard, but and what has been hidden from the wise and the prudent have been revealed in the mouths of the toddlers. So, a lot of good stuff. I would very much recommend just listen. First off, listen to his music. His music's great. I love listening to it. Doesn't get it's I just love it. But there's also a lot of good meaning for it. I think even someone in the YouTube comments says, "Yeah, once you've awakened, you'll find everything that he says is true." And it's funny how when you kind of wake up to what's going on, and you just look back on certain individuals that seem to have made an impact, and it's like, wow, right? This guy figured it out, and or some were really close to figuring it out, but they kind of stuck to what was more important to them, not necessarily what was what we've been raised on putting up onto a pedestal. I think his stance on freedom, Bob Marley, is also great. I think let's see, Bob Marley. He goes, every law is illegal, every government upon the face of the earth today is illegal. And that was one of his quotes too. And you can listen to it here.
Every law is illegal.
Every law is illegal.
Every government upon the face of this earth today is illegal.
I like that stuff. Right. And I agree. Anyways, that's gonna end it for this live stream. I will probably live stream sometime in the future. I don't know how much. I may do just little snippets of uploads instead sometimes. We'll see how it goes. I think I'm just kind of, things have gotten a little bit busy just with the spring setting in and the kids and the whole situation that's going on. But I'm going to spend time to enjoy it and see what else is out there. It's just basically revisiting a lot of things. Hi Garnum. Might like Tenor Saul. I'll check him out. Alright. Thank you for joining me on this one, and I'll see y'all later. Thanks.